Hi, folks. Nick Tucker here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Well, before we get our show going, if I can do this without destroying my new setup, let's talk about our sponsors. First and foremost, we're made possible by our amazing Patreon members. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me provide free online and in person for some good people sword training and discussion, research, and notes. You can also support us by buying any of my books at Amazon on www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tucker, starting with The Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, the first two in this series, or by supporting my Big Stompy Robots Core Rulebook, because I love making games. Now, I'm going to get right into the goodies, right into the meat of the matter. Normally, we have a few more commentaries, but that's okay. People will roll in as they do. Wow, I'm sorry, my brain just scattered for a second. All right, I was posed a question, and the question was this. It was about sickles and how one fights with them, why one fights with them, and scythes were mentioned, and how we go about making these things go, because there was some talk about throwing them and other shenanigans. And the question that came was a really great, it was a very educated question from John Hudson, one of our local guildies. And that question was, how do you fight with these? Is it like fighting with a kukri? Now, it's a really neat thing to compare a sickle and a kukri, because they have one, very defining feature. Both a sickle and a kukri are basically agriculturally inspired weapons. This is an evolved machete-like weapon that became one of the world's most famous fighting knives. This is still in some circles used for harvesting grain and trimming down weeds and things. They serve a very similar purpose as tools. And what it is, and I'm going to use the sickle first because it's a little more obvious. Oh, the weapons, this is a cold steel training knife version of their kukri. You can get this on Amazon. And this is a Purple Heart training sickle. This is not the sharp simulator with the edges. I like the smoother ones. I don't think we really need that. But the edges do provide the edges do provide a bit of input for both feeling it and weapon retention, because steel tends to bite into steel. Even blunted, there's a almost adhesion. We're joined first and foremost through the door by our own Johnny Cage. Hey Johnny, does the sharp part still go in the other fellow? Of course. Everything is about putting the sharp part in the other guy. But the thing about a sickle and a kukri is they are sharp on the inside curve. Now, many weapons like sabers and scimitars and shamshears, anyway, are sharpened on the outside of the curve to make for a dramatic slicing motion. These are not. These are meant to catch and cleave. That starts to really answer your question, John, in that the first thing is these weren't intended as weapons. These are very much, this is the tool I use, this is what I have, I'm going to make it go. But a sickle is a wonderful rending tool, okay? Because this is going to really it's all about the cut. There's literally no real defined thrust capability. This part is usually sharp, so you can impale, hook, and pull things around a bit, but usually you'll just slice right out, which is what these are made to do. Now, it is neat because Meyer has some frames of how one would fight with them, but you'll find it's very much the offline parries I talk about. Catch with the sickle, just like they would with a short sword or a dagger, or kitchen knife. If I were using a kitchen knife and I were going to cut, these cuts all work pretty much the same. These are very simple slicing cuts. What happens with a sickle is you aim past your target to catch and it latches. That makes sickles wonderful offhanded if you want to do two-weapon fighting. So, but I'm using this because most of my swords are currently in the pile for practices. I can fight like this very readily and use this as more of a catching. And because I'm still using this is a follow through. But I have much more thrust stab potential, even though it's not what it's intended to do. I can very much stab with this. With this, you can. But you're going to it's a rend, it's a grab, it's a wonderful tool. Would I throw them? Really? No. I mean, can you? Certainly. Let's be honest, you can throw anything. But the trick with a sickle is, when you take something like an axe, and I'll just grab a prop axe for safety. YouTube really prefers me to use safer prop axes like this. This is a plastidip axe I made myself as a prop, a little dwarven hatchet. Lovely little thing. But when you throw an axe, it's going to tumble. It is a mass weapon, so this weight is forward. So you're launching the weight, it's going to drag the handle, and you time the rotations to hit. Bam. Because it is a heavy weight and there's a lot of rotation, it's relatively easy to do. To get that and get that sense. That's why axe throwing, hatchet throwing, tomahawk throwing, all that is still a popular sport, and it's much easier, believe it or not, than knife throwing. In that you almost have to be stronger to throw a smaller. You have to be stronger to throw a smaller knife. It is counterintuitive, but when you realize weight is part of what makes gyroscopic force, the same thing happens with axes. Now, theoretically, you certainly could throw a sickle and have it end over end, but it's not forgiving. Whereas an axe, I've seen them stick butt in because I know strong people, but from here all the way to here. So you have this much angle, as long as you get a piece of it, may dig into a target. Throwing a sickle, you only have this much, like this little tiny arc of, if you don't, it won't stick in. So I wouldn't recommend throwing a sickle, John. But again, this is literally, your people were out working. Oh, the kingdom over has invaded, and they're coming and looting and pillaging and, killing the women and raping the pigs and all that. You use what you have literally on hand. So later people learned how to make it go. That's a good point. But that brings us back to something a little more elaborate in his question. John asked about, and yes, that was gum getting out of the way. John asked about size, like a reaping scythe. This is an agricultural tool with an offline blade. We need an example, so let's bring one out. Poor pigs, and sheep too, where the men are men and the sheep are nervous. But this, let me try and get the full, is my bopper scythe. I made this solely to kind of troll on a student of mine who was a little bit too much of an edgelord, with the intent of making it go. Hi, Frog G. We're joined by Frog G in the chat. Hey, Frog. Love seeing you. Now, size, and this is not a particularly good version. There's usually an elaborate set of a curve and a raised, sort of like the bar of a tonfa, to allow you to comfortably, while standing, angle down. This is a weed whacker. Okay, this allows long, sweeping movements. It's a practiced wide, sweeping. You're literally Johnny. If I had been making a sai for you, I would have taken the time to make it much prettier and probably do the full plastic on it because you know I love you. And yeah, say I love you to your friends and the people you associate with, because we need more love in the world. There's too much hate and crankiness. I can say that it's platonic, whatever. I'm not saying that Johnny's not an attractive man, because he is an attractive man, but that's relevant. Anyway, but that also means that this is a very difficult style of weapon to use offensively. It can be done, and there are medieval treatises where they're talking about it, but it's it's not comfortable to wield one, because again, let me pull this down here. Your blunt edge is leading, and while a sai can serve some very specific purposes if you use it not for what it was intended, but like it was intended. So in a melee environment where you're dealing with a whole lot of spears on the other side, something like a sai could be used to hook and take a large number of them offline. Will you be able to shear the spear shafts? Not nearly as easily as Hollywood portrays it. But there is some possibility of that. But what you can do is tangle it and leave the spearmen more vulnerable, and leave the shieldmen that they're providing an extended reach for. I have no idea how I would fight with a blade at a 90-degree angle from the handle like that. It is doable because, one, you have this part is fairly sharp. Okay, so the tip is fairly sharp. So you have a hooking thrust, and what you're hoping to do is, with the big side, sweep past your opponent and then pull back. Knees are a great target, back of the head. This is basically, it can only throw the equivalent of a wrap shot. Now, I can show it, seems to be, but, I need more room. I might shoot a video if this is something people really interested in a little bit. You're almost more likely to keep the back end down and away and spear with this than really go at it with the sai. I'm not sure. But that brings us to war sais. Now, war sais, I have a mock-up one. It's not here. It's basically, they're much closer to either looking like, let me put the sai side down and bring the sickle part out. More like this, where it would have a hooked sickle-like ending, again, for the purpose of grabbing other spears and moving them aside so people can get past them. However, that gets to be a bit monotasky. You could also use this to reach in and grab and pull, opponents offline, maybe get that sweep back of the neck action if they're not wearing a gorget, between the helmet and the shoulders. Or simply hook and pull a shield offline to leave an opening for one of your fellow spearmen. That makes it go. I mean, that's a viable use. But the problem is, it's very monotasky. It can do only one thing. And when you get something like a halberd or a billhook or a partisan, you have weapons that can serve a hooking aspect but still be totally viable to do more traditional damage. Frog G says, using a lawnmower gas-powered sai goat as a weapon seems a tricky proposition. Absolutely. Just because I can make a weapon out of anything doesn't mean I can make a perfect or even a very good weapon out of anything. And in some cases, like, for the way I fight a real sai like this, I'd probably do better with just the stick, which sounds terrible. But the other way a sai was used is basically they would take this style attached blade, turn it 90 degrees, and you get something that looks like a bardish, which is that funny axe that sticks out a little bit and it's flat. Or they'd actually mount this style of blade straight out with the slight curve onto the end of a different pole, and then you get a sort of not quite an inverted naginata, but it's in that family. It feels like that. It's almost glaive-like, but not as heavily bladed. Well, it's sort of again in that range. But at that point, a simple spear is probably more agile. So it can be done. There are some manuals, especially Meyer does at length go into the sickle. But I think you'll find in the case of across the world and parallel theory, a kukri, which is very much a similar kind of weapon. I mean, you can see it, can't you? It just outs better for utility, for ease of use, ease of draw, and effectiveness for a variety of tools. A good kukri that is thickly weighted will function much like an axe for dealing with and processing wood, much like a hand axe anyway. It's going to process and function much like a big knife. Yes. If Johnny, you've seen the actual a true agricultural side has some distinct curves. I assume yours has the support grip to make it work better. I didn't have the technology to bend the PVC when I was doing this mock-up, and they're even less friendly towards using using them for combat. If we're thinking about the same thing, if not, or you care to, feel free to DM me like a photo of how the size look down where you are, because I'm always fascinated by the different takes on things. Now, I actually do own a live steel sickle, in part because I've been talking about gas prices becoming unimaginably expensive for a very long time, and that's why I actually have two of those old style push reel lawnmowers, which please don't try to use those in combat. I know someone will ask at some point. Just don't. If you're better with taking a machete, well, making a machete out of a lawnmower blade. I have something very similar to that my father-in-law made. Yeah. Now I'm picturing gnomes with battle size, death from the ankles down. Yeah, now that's getting interesting. That is interesting because when you start taking dramatic size difference, I'd still take a spear, but I can see where somebody could get interested in that. And artistically, death gnomes on the charge is delightful. Oh, not really. Our handle is just the stick. The shape of the blade is what makes it different. I'll take a picture tomorrow. Thank you so much, Johnny, because I'm fascinated I enjoy learning stuff. And that is one thing you will find, and I tell people, whenever there's a broadcast, I am capable of being wrong or mistaken, and sometimes I don't know. And I would rather admit I don't know and learn something cool than try the whole ego game. I think that is a hallmark of quality of presentation and education. Somebody who's demonstrated obviously a measure of knowledge on any given point, being willing to admit that they may not know something, lets it provides a respectability. Why is everyone in the universe pinging me? Oh, God. I just got the notice that my own live stream started. Okay. So that is all. Let me turn this off. I will just power that off. Normally, I leave my phone on during these because I have some people who message me direct. But right now, my phone's just interfering with my internet, so we're not going to do that. I'll check on it later. But Absolutely. Like I said, I'd love to see what works for you. So, John Hudson, I hope that this at least starts to answer your question. I have a backlog of videos I have to edit from a couple of the practices. We had two practices and then had to take 2 weeks off, one for a scheduling thing and one for Father's Day, which in America is a fairly big deal. I'm blessed that my father is still alive, and I am doubly blessed to be a father myself. So it's kind of still a big deal for me, even though the importance is a little hard for uh, my autistic son to get a hold of. That's okay too. So yes, there won't be practice till the end of the month, and we'll be working around heat restrictions down here because we're looking at a couple hundred plus degrees. But anyway, I would prefer a kukri over a sickle for overall use, but sickles are still fascinating, and I'll try to find links to the Meyer text that I want to say it's Meyer that I read, and I was looking at the frames of the sickle fighting. I think it's just neat, and I have a love of agricultural and improvised weapons because those are the weapons of the working class, and weapons of the working class, I feel, don't necessarily get the historical. Oh, okay. Let me know if my net boggles, and it may tag while I go snag this because I have a message. Boink. Boom. And what I'll do in just a second. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Image as desktop JPEG medium file. Okay, I don't know why this is a JPEG medium file. I've never seen that. But what we will do is I'll bring it up in just a second. And I mean the image. And yes, we have gardening machete style tools. Well, they'll build us machete style tools that have that kind of head, but they're only one-handed here. That is fascinating. So, no, I don't want that. Didn't it come down? I just saved it. So I'm having a touch of technical difficulty here, and I'm not seeing it come up. So we'll just backtrack around again. I have the means. I can fix this. We'll move this to a new window. Move this over here. So yeah, well, hello. Oh, Devil Flyer. Been a while since I've heard from you. Hope you're doing well. What we'll do is we will just go here and we'll bring this image up. And this image was shared to me by Johnny Cage. Hey, Thesis, you missed a lovely discussion on sickles and size, and we're looking at a different type. If you give me just a minute, I'll be happy to show it to you. And this is cool. This is why I love. Here we are. Window. Boom. Actually, here we'll go Chrome tab. No, that. Yeah, there we go. There we are. So yes, we do have tools like this, and this functions very much like essentially a great sickle. This isn't a side because this isn't made for reaping long quantities of narrow material. Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you had great Chinese food. I love Chinese food. And Frogs greeting everybody. Oh, Foxy, we'll forgive you this time. But this is another case of what's great when we see. Let me do this for a second. Now we have 3 tools. Okay, let me get over here. And each of these, and I'm going to switch this so it's on a lighter background. Each of these serve the blade shape roughly the same purpose, different designs. So that is more of a sickle than a scythe, but that's fascinating. Now, I assume the inner edge is sharpened. It's a little hard to see with this picture. Let me just zoom in here. Yes. Oh, we can see. Quite nice. Give me just a moment. Yes. Sorry. Yes, I have a touch screen all-in-one. And you're seeing me reach past instead of under because I'm using the camera that Luke Stone sold me. And do you guys like this audio? Tell me, is this audio just a little bit better? It's for sugarcane. That's what I thought. Well, it's for sugarcane and stuff like that. If I had to fight with one, I'd rather it be that. Absolutely. That's much more practical as a pole arm. You can make that go easier because it's going to let other materials slip by so you get the hook without getting as much entanglement. This is a wonderful tool. Thank you so much, Johnny, for sharing this. So we'll get rid of that. And I'll close that because I don't want to. Yes, Thesis. We've come full circle. Looks like a war sigh. No problem. Well, see, that's why this is the Historical Fencing Guild. This isn't the Nick Talker channel of extreme things or, hi, I'm Chad. Greetings, I'm Chad. And this is Chad, University. Anyhow, shots fired? Just a little bit. No, I love Chad, but one of these days it'll happen. I've got some shenanigans I want to pull, and now that I'm getting better at StreamYard, I'm much closer to it. Poke's computer. I has no sound. Oh no, Foxy. Ah, there it is. Yes, Foxy, we're glad to have you here on WNICK. All Nick, all the time. We're hoping to keep your evening smooth and sharp like a freshly polished sword. Camera is definitely clearer. You look good. I oopsied and hit a button. LOL. Well, see, hooray, sound. Yes, what's great is this camera, if you allow me just a moment of shenanigans, we'll go here to here in just a second. There we go. This is my old camera, the one that's integrated in. I am glad to be able to do this because that means I can show you. This is my camera rig. It is sitting on a box in front of my touchscreen to get everything to fit where I need it to. But because of the way this is rigged, I can put it on a different mount, and I should be able to do top-down art for live draws of standard art. Now, let me just try to get this back close to right. We'll swap for just a second. Go back. And we're back. Oops. Not quite aimed right. You got to see my little perler big stompy robot. But to the YouTube people who may see that and go, wait, what was that? That is a perler bead image of the big stompy robots. Where did all my books go? They fell behind me. I'm still here, folks. Whoop. It's a perler bead image of, this logo right here that I did on a whim. Oh, God, in 2020. I occasionally dabble with the whole perler beads, but we're going to close that for a second. Now, if I could look any direction but up. Yeah, I know the feeling. But don't show the camera to the other camera. You're making camera shy. Well, I'm camera shy. I was gifted with a face for radio, so I'm not really accustomed to this whole thing, but we're making it work. And what it means is I'm starting to get the pieces together to do some really cool things. With a mobile camera like this and my backup version that I had acquired before Luke offered me a higher grade one, and you can see this is how I spend guild money. This one may actually come outside coupled with my laptop, and I want to experiment because I would love to be able to live stream some fighting today. Oh no. Oh, Foxy, I'm so sorry you're having a pain in the neck, both literally and figuratively. I hope things get better for you, darling. Uh, we're going things over here. I'm slowly improving facilities. I'm slowly improving some of my plans. Now I have to redo a lot. I have to rethink because the cost of things like lumber tripled basically, overnight one day, and I have to do some creative workarounds, but I intend to. And while I'm doing that, I can do a few little things like upgrade my camera, upgrade my mic. I may even I'm considering upgrading my StreamYard to a premium one, which will let me do more things and get rid of the duck picture because I want to stream more and higher quality. But that would be a reoccurring cost, and right now I'm still saving up for the bigger things. So I'll see. And if you think that's something I should invest in, especially those of you who stream, let me know. Uh, I'm doing well with the hip today. I've done some light walking without my cane, and it's not too sore, so that's a good sign. As somebody who's trying to get spend a couple of years trying to get as far from the cane as possible, wonderful, wonderful thesis. That's what we're all about. Uh, but don't forget to do your drilling. You can do it sitting down. We've discussed this. Foxy, 10 years old, fall out of a barn, get up, wander off just fine. 38, sleep wrong, can't look below the shoulder level for a whole day. Oh, that's tragic. That's tragic, Foxy. Knowing what's going on below your shoulder level. I should not have said that. Should not have said that. But I can flirt a little bit. We're dear friends. Uh, yeah, so beyond the obvious, we have that going. The StreamYard duck is not a problem. You just have to duck under it. So sorry, I'll see myself out. Well, to those of you who may, I think, well, Fox, Johnny made it on my other channel, which finally approved the link. So I will be putting that in the chat as we speak, but my typing is atrocious, so it might take a moment. I hosted the morning show, Never Mind the Furthermore, that was set up originally by Brian K. Morris. He had to miss out, and I've done some tongue-in-cheek homages, but I actually hosted it, and we may see there are some announcements coming out soon on that channel, but you will find this channel is my other channel. And I just got the custom link finally approved today. So I'm working on that. And that's where I'll be all about my art. I want to get back into stop motion. I have some really funny skit videos I want to eventually get set up. And I hope you guys can follow there as well. I know I'm asking a lot, but I try to keep this channel somewhat on topic, and there I'm free to be a lot more random, and I dig random. And yes, please, as Foxy says, don't forget to like and such. That means like, share, subscribe to both my channels, and comment, folks. I check my comments religiously. I love hearing people ask questions or make comments about even some of my older videos. Um, it's all about helping people get a little bit better and helping people kind of move up. That's what I do. Well, okay. Thesis says my channel is poor and pretty bare, so I don't tend to direct people to it. Well, Thesis, you're going to have to, because I think you have a lot to say. I think you have a lot of experience in the field of martial arts, and I think you have a very beneficial uh, presence, a very beneficial perspective is the word I was looking for. And that was never mind, no issue with it. It's more about finding the right phrasing. So please share that around. Put your link in the Historical Fencing Guild public group on Facebook. It's a great place to talk to the people who are here, who do the Facebook, and just exchange ideas. And that's where I get a lot of my commentary. The whole sickle scythe, death scythe thing was requested by John Hudson. John recently became a father. That's why he hasn't been able to come out to practices. Him and our own Stephanie Hudson, I believe. I don't know if she's hyphenated Stephanie O'Mahony /Hudson or not, but I'll look that up. But it's hard when I know people by their maiden names. Sometimes I forget to switch. So anyway, great people, and I want to build this conversation. And when I get good input, good requests, things I can sort of work with, I can then go and use that to make better content for you guys. Because this is not I'm going to come on and say, hi, my name's so-and-so and so-and-so of so-and-so, and I'm going to tell you why I'm right and you're wrong. There are a lot of people who do that online, and I don't feel that there's a necessity for that anymore. I think enough people have come with that approach. So I do things a little differently. I do it my way. And I do hope it's on par. I hope it's what continuing to be of service. I have 8 amazing Patreon people who make my purchases of gear and things possible. I'm truly blessed. And share, but guys, if you share us around to people and we can expand the conversation, we get better topics. That's what it's all about. Foxy says, brushing hair when you can't move your neck is an interesting dilemma. Can Thesis brush your hair for you? That's a lovely thing for a husband to do for a wife. A wife. I don't know. That suddenly got very that stammer sound could cause people to ask all manner of interesting questions, because that's how my mind works. But yes, their wife. Ooh, it is raining significantly outside. But take care of yourself, Foxy. One, you can't fight if you can't move. So you guys, we have to take care of ourselves. Now let's talk some other stuff for just a moment. 1 second, I need a drink. Oh, God, that's good. A bootleg Walmart grape Mio knockoff. It's quite pleasant. I would say I do not have the capacity, but I'll see what I can do. I was joking with Foxy yesterday at my diabetic checkup that now we're probably going to be on the same level. When can I can start training again? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The best thing. Now that I don't know if you guys, the best thing you can expect is the best thing for somebody redeveloping, building back up. And I've had to do it from a double hernia when I was crushed under a literal ton of frozen hamburger. I had to do it again when my back dislocated like a zigzag. My spine basically went sprung. And again, very recently, I'm actually in the process as I've been fighting my neuropathy. So coming from extreme injury back to some level of fighting is something I've experienced with. And the best thing is to slowly work through the the basic movements, the absolute core movements. That's what's going to train your body, and that's what the depths of your body still remembers doing. So, working with someone who you're training, if they are patient enough to understand your situation, is very, very beneficial for both parties, because then you can level up a little bit together. It's almost like there's student levels and there's swordmaster levels, and that you both get to level up in your respective role. It's a beautiful thing. Johnny Cage, the worst thing about hurting your neck is staying still for a while, then forgetting your neck is hurt. Then when you move suddenly and it doesn't feel good at all. Oh, that is a oh sympathetic creepy pains. Yes. Thesis says my physical therapist said probably 5 to 6 months before I can start training again. So basically, going to be back to square one, at least with stances and such. Um, and he's got a lot more empathy for what I go through all the time now. I will say this: if you've never been debilitatively injured, and many people are blessed to, you don't know what it's like. Um, and people don't talk about it because we treat injury and disability very much like it's some kind of sin. It's a moral failing that your body doesn't work, and that's absolutely wrong. I don't hold to that in any way, shape, or form. But there's a lot of shame to that, especially when you're dealing with the previous what you could do versus what you can do. Um, I am an artist. If you go through my DA page, you'll see my art progressing, and then it will stop for a while, and then it will almost digress and come back up because I'm dealing with different. Those are periods of times where I did injury, and all that had neurological overlays. So really, it is a wonder I can function. But there is an opportunity for wisdom in every tragedy. And it's a dangerous thing to say, and some people will take offense. But uh, it will give you perspective and patience you didn't know, because you will have to develop having that patience for yourself. So, in many ways, believe it or not, especially for someone who is on the path to be an instructor, it is a gift. Pain is one of those things that can be a great. We spend so much time avoiding pain. Pain is bad. Pain is unpleasant. It's not bad. Pain is a wonderful tool. Pain educates us. It tells us what not to do. Pain will prevent us from achieving worse damage. Pain can clear the mind. It can trigger adrenaline to get you out of dangerous situations. Physical pain can. It's just pain is your friend. Pain is good. Pain is your friend. It teaches you. It lets you know you're still alive. There have been times in life where it feels like the only thing that things that I can trust is that the pain is real. And when you're going through real scary physical and mental trauma, sometimes you go where people think the rock bottom is. Many times it's a thin crust and there's lower. And there have been times in my journey where certain pains I've had have been my companions in times of darkness, and I've come to accept that without getting too into the wrong side of things. So, yes, this is my literally my first major injury and my first surgery. When I was a teenager, I chipped an ankle, but really wasn't. This is the first time I've been debilitated. Learn from it, embrace it, find what lessons this is giving you. It does suck, and I completely both sympathize and empathize with you, having spent a great deal of time in that sort of limitation. But when you are limited, you have a great chance to relearn and to build up. Ah, Foxy, pain can be a teacher. Yes. Good evening, John Miner. We're joined by John Miner of Swakhammer Metals. John is currently still working, but I keep begging him to expand his Swakhammer Metals line. And at some point, I need to talk to you, John, about making a pair of HDP lightweight gauntlets for a certain hobbit, because John has been an armorer at different points of his life, and I would love to use some of that knowledge, because right now my hands, I have to be very careful around the presence of things like power tools. Vibrations really do the nerve damage, and I have to schedule, knowing I won't be able to do next to anything the next day if I use a power tool. And Foxy greets John. Don't mind the techno mage teleporting in the back of the room, dropping a like and teleporting out. I love you, John. I love you, Joe. I just said John. I love you, Joe, and I love your wife too. And it has nothing to do with both of you having delightful cans. No, wow, I'm in a mood tonight. No, you go say hi to all those people in that room that's a secret, okay? And you get into trouble and not get caught. Bless you, Joe Bachman. And I got to get Joe's links a little more prominent. Foxy, hi and bye, Joe. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Who sends you? Oh, sorry. Training. Who sends the pain and suffering? What does not kill you will make you stronger. That is a powerful thing. I would like to amend that. That what does not kill you makes you wiser, if you've paid attention. Because long-standing debilitating they affect your physical stats in gaming terms. But there is a trade-off, I think, because one thing I have is I understand types of pain. What do you mean types of pain? Let's talk about that. I believe that, and I'm not a medical professional. Please talk to a medical professional for anything like this. This is just my experience. I don't want any Cindy Cap at www.ckoepp.com. You're always welcome. And there's still about 12 minutes left. You are lovely. But I gotta go back to a couple things. John, I would say probably mittens at this point. Although full finger or hybrid, where like Ninja Turtle split, could work really well. We'll have to talk. I know I need hand protection, and part of the nerve damage is my pinky has started to wander. So I keep getting hit on the end of my pinky because the grip will let go. So I will British teacup a sword. Hi, some person. I'm sorry. I do start almost religiously at 8 o'clock Eastern time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So you can go to the channel. I usually set the video up at least a half hour early unless something's going wrong. But yeah, getting back to, we've got some great comments before I do that. Tired of getting stronger. Hi, Cindy. And if that which does not kill you makes you stronger, I should be able to bench press a Buick. You are not alone on that one, Cindy. But what I'm talking about, pain being good, guys. In my case, for example, I do have diabetic neuropathy. Now I've gotten my meds, I do the exercises, it takes over. But I do not take as much as I could. And I discussed this with my neurologist because my fingers will start to hurt if I overexert. My fingers will start to hurt a different way if my blood sugar goes high. So I am deliberately living slightly less comfortably to have an extra diagnostic tool. When you have done the I've been hurt and I'm building back, you talk to bodybuilders. Uh, that's impressive. That once upon a time, Foxy could do leg lifts of about 300 pounds because her legs are gnarly. That's impressive. Yeah, I'm thinking mittens would probably be the best, and I'd have to get used to fighting in them. And they'd have to be lightweight because I have lost a lot of nerve control strength. Like the musculature is there, but I'm adapting to the adjustments. So we'll have to talk. But yes, I definitely would be interested in trying to set something like that up, John. But when you're building back up, guys, good pain. I was 17 and 5 foot nothing. Oh, I bet you're breaking hearts left and right and didn't even know it, Foxy. When you're building up, there is the pain of soreness that will tell you, okay, I'm pushing myself. I need to ease up. There's the pain, and you should, I can stop. This is, that's tight. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to stretch it out so I don't hurt myself. Then there's the pain. Oops, that has that acid burn sensation. I've torn something. I pulled something. This is serious. This is serious. But but knowing that will help you by paying attention to your body. You can recover quicker and do more. And that's the wisdom kicking in. But you have to listen to your body and not your egos. There's a or the I'm having fun. I've gotten in trouble in the past because I've stopped people from fighting. Well, I'm having fun. And I'm like, and you stop sweating. You're bright red and you've stopped sweating. Get off the field, get in the shade, and get some hydration in you before you keel over. So, yes, pay attention to your bodies. Thesis. Currently, I'm doing 40-pound hamstring curls around 60 times in physical therapy. I don't know if I could lift 40 pounds, to give you perspective. I am not a terribly strong individual. I have the a quarter of the grip of an adult male in one hand and a third of the grip in the other. My strong hand is only about a third the strength of a normal adult male my age due to the nerve damage. So yeah. And I'm not a giant. And that folks right there is a vital thing. We have giants among us. Brilliant, gifted, physically talented people like John Miner and Thesis who are very tall, very powerful. And the system that works like that is going to if it's misaligned, if you try to set your bar by what they can do, it will not work. Oh, I just got noticed that my channel is live. Jeez, YouTube. Almost the end of my hour, and that's happened. But the scale, you can't set your scale by other people. You just have to build on what you're doing at the pace you're going, and not look at this. I tried to do 50 today, but no. You got to ease into things, because what will happen is you will hurt yourself worse and you'll lose another margin of your possible top end. So yeah, let's be cautious. And Sydney Kep is impressed with several relevant things. John Miner says therapy has me doing about 12 less than in 1 week after knee hurt surgery. It hurts like heck. Yeah, it's gonna. And physical therapists are the most loving sadists on the planet. I don't know. Occupational therapists are pretty good at that too. I want to remind you folks because I saw it fell. I couldn't booby the squeezy square. I couldn't do this, and there are times at the end of the day doing this, which I'm supposed to do every day, is actually rather unpleasant. I won't say painful, but it's unpleasant. But I have to do it. So I had to earn being able to squeeze a sponge. Okay. Now, I don't think there's anyone on this list who would doubt that I'm still a valid sword master. I'm still a martial artist. I still do what needs done to the best of my ability. If working up to a pink sponge, being able to squeeze it, is seems light or fluffy, keep that in mind. If you need a scale to work off of this. I've worked on I've done physical therapy for people where I was administering the therapy that they were assigned to do. And part of it was, I had one guy, one of my clients, I loved him, but he was a jerk. And that's a good way. I mean, he was a 7-letter word for a jerk. And he wanted to flip me off. And I told him, if you're going to flip me off, you have to dial it up all the way or it doesn't count. So he literally did physical therapy for months to get from only having his hand here to being able to rotate here to properly flip me the bird. And I love that guy. But we all have our journey. Don't feel bad if others get farther or you don't feel like you're where you need to be. Just you squeeze the square, and you build up. Because when I started, they told me I'd never be able to do any physical development, none, if I got movement back, because I could move my hand from here to about here, and both sets of fingers, when they moved, ratcheted, and they ratcheted in pairs. So I could move, like, you'll see when I move my fingers, they still sort of sync. You have to keep that in mind. Fine. It's okay to realize you need to squeeze booby the squeezy square. And I earned that. They told me I'd never be able, and I did so well. The occupational therapist gave me this and said, okay, you can do these squeezes and see if you can get farther. I can hold the sword today. It has to be light, and I can only hold it for so long. This is why I love small swords, and I'm looking for a good synthetic, very, very light small sword. I'm still shopping for that because then I could fight longer. But that's what we do. That's how we adapt. That's what the heart and soul of the guild is about. And, figuring out what we're doing. So let me go here. And we'll go through. Let's see. I love my physical therapist. He's an awesome guy, but there are days when I want to punch him in the throat. That's their job, and they know it and they understand it. I'm so used to pain that if I woke up without any, I'd think I was dead. Yeah. I have felt that. And it was, I had trouble finding my balance because of a post-surgery thing. I had still had some painkillers in my system. And because I don't use things a lot, I'm both vulnerable to it. Is that hits harder, but it also burns away real quick because of some other genetics. But I had trouble with my balance because I didn't feel like my leg was there because it didn't hurt certain ways. My feet didn't hurt, things like that. So I totally get that. John says, in martial arts, I could bent leg press about 700 pounds, which sounds about right. John is Hagrid. And now I'm lucky to lift 40, but it is getting better. And that is what it's about, John. The other thing you can't do is hold yourself to the physical scale and capacity of the 20-year older, like the 20-year younger version of you. You have to be fair to yourself and make a fair climb. Foxy says goals are important, and they are. Squeeze the squeezy square, man. Whoop. You must flip me the bird, catch a stone, and then you'll be ready. Yes, when you can flip me the bird upright, only then will you be ready, young grasshopper. Today I probably couldn't do much. And guess what? This is another great thing, and I got this from one of the motivational speeches by a lovely, lovely woman, both physically and emotionally, by the name of Autumn Ivy. She does fitness, bodybuilding, cosplay. She's a very attractive woman, and but that's not, I hate to say that's not what impresses me because I know attractive people who aren't terribly impressive. But her journey and her attitude and what she goes to motivate people, that impresses me. Uh, your best today is not the same as your best is going to be tomorrow, nor the same your best is going to be a week from now. It varies dramatically. And for those of us who are recovering from things, your best might be getting out of bed and being able to move around. There were many days about a year ago where my best was walking with two crutches and making it, without having to lean on the wall for further support from the bathroom to the couch. There was a period there where that my corner on the couch was where I basically lived because I couldn't move. And because there was a pandemic, I couldn't find out why. So leave yourself room and pay attention to your body and keep your ego and your fear out of it. Just listen to what your body is telling you. Both my doctor and my physical therapist have told me I'm way ahead of schedule, so hopefully I won't need the whole 6 months to get back to training. If you don't overdo it and give yourself a setback. Pace yourself carefully, Thesis. And I know I'm being kind of preachy here and I'm being a little grumpy, but it's important. Pace yourself so that you don't hurt yourself. And it's tempting to always go. Make sure you're comfortably where you are. On a good day, I'm fairly strong in muscles. I bet you are. Let's see. Oh, yes, new comments. I have been known to kick Nick and the punching bag across the floor in the gym. Yes. Yeah, that was 20 years ago, John. That was, well, not quite 20 years ago. That was real close to 20 years ago. Maybe 18. I at the time weighed 150 pounds. I'm sorry, 175. And you were actively fighting and in great shape. For reasons. I did Tai Chi push hands with John. I learned a lot. Most of my staff came from John Miner. A lot of the Tai Chi came from John Miner. A lot of my katana was refined and fixed by John Miner. A reverse blade grip was almost entirely John Miner. And then Steve Clausen helped a lot with that. A lot of the heavy style fighting, a lot of my shield work came from John Miner. A lot of it came from my wife, Amanda, who got it from John Miner. And a lot of it came from Jesse Tibbetts, who is no longer with us. And I still miss him frequently. He was a good man. But, no. Okay, he would hold... He said he would hold it for me. No. John said, hey, Nick, can you hold it for me? Sure. So I braced against this thing, and John did a Spartan-style front kick that slid it and me many feet away. One thing, John's a giant. But John's also aging. And when you talk about aging giants, you have to look at their knees, hips, and back. Because literally, John approaches giantism by his hand size and a few other metrics, which means it's hard on the joints. And it's hard when you've spent large parts of your life, a foot to a foot and a half taller than most people you encounter and twice to three times as strong, to be limited later. But the fact that you're learning it, that's where the wisdom kicks in. And learning to adjust to um your relative weakness, but still using what you have. And that's what makes for some fascinating conversations with John when he feels comfortable that he's established himself. And that's, a lot of times that's the John Miner I wish I could bring out more on these shows. Because he's a very different person. I used to tell people that John Miner and his SCA handle, Torvald Swakhammer, they're two totally different people. And John, for me, was always easier to work with than when he was in full Torvald mode. It's interesting. And and that's not a shot at John. John, I love you. And it was always easier for me to train with you when nobody was around, because I don't think you felt you needed to present that part. And as you've aged, that's really gone away. And embrace that. Embrace the comfort in being who you are. Let's see. LOL, John. But you're still making the ladies laugh, so you're still on par. Trust me, Nick, I've been reading him the right act. Good. Having had major tooth pain taught me to meditate better. Being present, deep breathing with fresh air, and not thinking because thoughts brought back the pain. Yes, absolutely. I've had some severe tooth injuries in the past. One of the little gifts of my situation. Yes, come on, heat pad, do your thing. But and that's what I love. We're all building, and we're getting to a place where we can be more than we were because we interact together. We've made a network of support, and that's vital. That's what we do. I think this has been a good show, folks. So we're past the hour line. I've been light on my beverage, but it is getting warm with the light on. So I think I'm going to call it. Thank you for coming out, everybody. Yes, John. One thing, John also was an EMT, and he knows his medical stuff. He actually saved my life once from bad. Some people really did their best when I had heat exhaustion. That's why I harp on it. I harp on the mistakes I've made so others don't suffer like I have. He saved my life, and I will never not credit him for that. But he's a good friend, so I'm also honest with him. I don't know why it looks like my camera is constantly trying to autofocus. I think when my background moves, it goofs it up. But, well, it's a quirk. But heat and ice are your friend. Be gentle with yourselves. And you know what, folks? At the best of your medical ability, please do your drills. Keep your guard up. Be kind to yourselves and each other. And folks, as always, thank you so much for supporting your local swordmaster. See you next time.